Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 7th ever episode of Lombardi Party. Whoa! I am your host, Carsen Williams, and today we have a bit of a mixed episode. Unfortunately, we are going to have to talk about the Lions game because that is my job. But it's also Bears week, and you know what that means. The second best rivalry of all of sports behind Duke, Carolina. It's Packers versus the Bears. And we'll get into it in just a little bit. But first, like I said, we have to talk about this Packers-Lions game. Lions came away with the win, 24-14. And right away, the chips were stacked against the Packers. I never expected to actually win this game. First off, you have the Jordan Love injury, and we saw it affecting him the entire night. And I am pretty upset with the Packers organization for sending Love out there. It was the worst weather of the season. Matt LaFleur said after the game he only got one real day of practice. And it was clearly just a high risk of re-injury. He never should have went out there. I think Malik Willis, I tweeted about this, but I think Malik Willis just would have been better in general for this game. Having a mobile quarterback like that who is not relying on his arm would have been huge in a game that looked like a hurricane out there, like crazy winds and raining the whole time. And it just was not a good game for a quarterback who has a groin injury and just can't move around very well. So I think that the Packers really mismanaged that one. Fortunately, Jordan Love got away and didn't re-injure anything. But I think the right decision just would have been to send Malik Willis out there. I mean, he could barely move going into halftime. The announcers kept saying he can't walk right now because he couldn't. It was a clear limp. And then after the game, he told reporters no, it wasn't affecting him, but it was very, very clearly affecting him. And then we also had injuries on the defense. Jair Alexander was out for this game. Evan Williams was out for this game. And I think that's honestly the bigger one. Even though he's a rookie, Evan Williams completely changes the scope of this defense, the way we defend the pass, the way we defend the run, where we can put other players. We can put Javon Bullard in the nickel and also Keyshawn Nixon being or Kerry Valentine being our starting cornerbacks. That is not going to work ever. They are not good enough, even remotely good enough to guard Amon-Ra St. Brown. So that was tough. And then, like I said, the weather was just awful. And when you have a young team like that, it's hard to hear, hard to see, hard to hold on to the ball. That really puts you at a disadvantage compared to an experienced teams and a really run-heavy team like the Lions. And even with all that, I don't think we should have lost this game. It was a really weird game to lose. The Packers outgained the Lions in this game 411 to 261. That's 411 yards for the Packers to 261 yards for the Lions. We outgained them in the air 273 to 137. We outgained them on the ground 138 to 124. We had 3 more first downs than them, 20 to 17. And we were at 6.6 yards per play to the Lions 4.7. And even with all of that, we lost by 10. And it's because the Packers just shot themselves in the foot over and over and over. At least 8 drops. There was a dropped touchdown in the end zone by Dontavian Wicks. There were 2 balls that Christian Watson misjudged, and balls like that, it's a lot harder because, the way the wind carries these balls, it's kind of hard to predict. And then you also, of course, had the pick 6 before halftime by Jordan Love, just inexcusable. I understand where he was going. He was trying to make a play, trying to hit the check down, but you got to just throw the ball away there. And that really, I kind of thought, sealed the deal, unfortunately. But what really, really killed us in this game was the penalties. We had 10 penalties in this game. Drive enders for the Packers, drive extenders for the Lions. And this has been a problem for the Packers all year. We have 67 penalties in 9 games. 67 penalties in 9 games. That's 7.4 penalties per game. We have 3 games with 10 penalties. We have 5 games with 8 or more penalties. And it is a reflection on the coaching staff for sure, but it also just shows how young of a team we are. We're still the youngest team in the league. So these are things I think that are going to get cleaned up, and it just comes with time, experience, discipline. But, our Super Bowl window is open right now. So these are things that we have got to get cleaned up if we want to make it past the first round, or if we want to make it to the Super Bowl. These are things that are going to have to get cleaned up. But I say all that to say I'm not worried about the Packers' future. I'm not really worried at all. We have a pretty easy schedule going forward. We play the Bears twice. We play the 49ers, who are getting Christian McCaffrey back, so that's going to be a good game, I think. We play the Dolphins. We play the Seahawks. We play the Saints. Those should all be wins. And then we play the Lions again and the Vikings again. The Lions, who have been looking a little more vulnerable in the past couple weeks, and the Vikings, who have definitely been looking more vulnerable in the last few weeks. So I could see us taking a game there. I think we probably will take the next game against the Vikings, and I'll get into all my predictions for all that later. I think we're probably going to end up going 12-5 or 13-4. I think if we go anything less than those, it's kind of a disappointment, because it means we lost some games that we should not have been losing. Okay, that's my spiel for the Lions. I know it was pretty quick, easy, to the point, but there just really weren't a lot of things to go over in this just really, really weird game. I will say Josh Jacobs played a really good game. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but he played a great game, and I just wish we could rely on him a little more. But when you have 10 plus penalties and you're constantly far back, it's like it's always a second and long, a third and long, and you're down in the football game, you have to throw the ball. So I've been a little critical of the coaching staff and the way that they haven't relied on Josh Jacobs the way I think they should. But in this game, specifically, I understand. All right, let's go on to week 11, Bears week. Let's do it. It's a scheduled W, I think. I said it on Outta Pocket yesterday. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. Myself, Michael Davis, of course, the Prez, Krista Luca. It was a great show. But it's a scheduled W. The Bears have really, really been struggling after a 4-2 start. They started the year pretty well. Caleb Williams was looking good. Since then, they've dropped games against the Colts, the Commanders, the Cardinals, and this past week, the lowly Patriots. And I do just want to remind everybody, the Packers beat the Colts with Malik Willis as their starting quarterback, and they also completely destroyed the Cardinals. So if that just gives you an idea of the tier that these teams are in. That being said, there are some things that we have got to do right. Jordan Love has to be healthy. Do I think we could win this game with Malik Willis? Yes. But these Bears do have a good defense. They're top 5 or top 8 or so defense. They have a good defense. And it would be really, really nice to be able to not only run the ball well, which we will. I have complete confidence in Josh Jacobs, but to be able to throw the ball confidently, efficiently, effectively. And we have to be active in the run game. Not just efficient, but active. We have got to lean on Josh Jacobs more than we've been doing. Like I said, last game, I'm not holding anything against Matt LaFleur for that. But games previous, when Jordan Love is playing, we tend to lean away from Josh Jacobs, which makes sense. But I think that Josh Jacobs should be used no matter who the quarterback is. And we just don't really use him as much as we should when Jordan Love is out there. What we also have to do is pressure Caleb Williams. Look, I'm a big fan of Caleb Williams. I'm a big believer in the guy. I've said multiple times. I said it on Outta Pocket yesterday. Even with Jaden Daniels having the best rookie quarterback season we've ever seen, which is crazy to say with C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert recently, but even with Jaden Daniels, even with Drake May coming in and playing really, really well, I think Caleb Williams still has the upside and the talent. I think he'll probably be the best out of these three young quarterbacks. And I really like the parallel that we see going on. I think Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes. Not saying that he is Patrick Mahomes, but just stay with me. Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson. Caleb Williams is Patrick Mahomes. And Drake May is Josh Allen. Just in terms of play style, I think that those three really mirror the best quarterbacks in football right now. But I think Caleb Williams is going to be the best out of all of them. He's just not right now. And that has a lot to do with coaching. It has basically everything to do with coaching. But that's the cards that he's been dealt. And the Packers have got to capitalize on that. If we can get pressure on Caleb Williams, get him out of the pocket, make him throw on the run, after these plays are just going to crumble, and hopefully his offensive line crumbles, and we should get at least three sacks, and we win this game handily, I think. We also have got to limit penalties. I just talked about it. Penalties have been killing us, and they can lose a game for us, like a winnable game like this. Penalties can lose. They lose it for us. And if it is how it was against the Lions, or if it is how it was against the Eagles, we'll lose. Like, we would lose the game if we have 10 plus penalties. I just don't think it's going to happen. We're coming off a bye week, and that's also a really, really big factor. We're coming off a bye, coming off a loss, which I always think that it's better to go into the bye on a loss, because then you're not losing any momentum that you would have had, and you can really sit down and think about all the stuff you did wrong and fix those. So, like I said it 2 weeks ago, I knew that we were not going to win this game against the Lions, and that sucks to say as a Packers media member, I guess, but I knew we were going to lose against the Lions. It was just in the cards. The chips were stacked against us, and that's what happened. We ended up losing. The way that we lost really, really pained me, though. And I know it hurt basically everybody in Packers Nation, because that was a winnable game. This game should not be a winnable game for the Bears. The last thing we have to do is win the turnover battle. We have been very good about this throughout the year, but we did lose it against the game with the Vikings. We lost it against the game with the Lions, and those were 2 losses. And I don't remember if we lost against the Eagles, if we lost the turnover battle. But if we win the turnover battle against a team like this, I'm not worried. I'm really not worried. All right, let's talk about the NFC North. There's a lot of interesting things happening here. 3 very, very good teams. One team who I think has been the best in the league. I know that the Chiefs are undefeated, but I still think the Lions have been the best in the league. They're 8-1. That offense is just really, really dynamic. The way they rally behind their coach, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, have been incredible. I think that they have been the best team in the league so far. Also, sorry if my positioning changed. I had to cut the camera. But the Vikings are at number 2. They're at 7-2. Their defense has been phenomenal under Brian Flores. Their offense has been at least steady. They had a really, really pretty poor Sam Darnold game, and that's really the X factor for this team. But they've still been a very, very good team on the backs of their defense, and Justin Jefferson has been incredible. They're sitting at 7-2. The Packers are sitting at 6-3. Our offense, of course, is dynamic. Our defense has been very, very good, winning the turnover battle, and we're sitting at 6-3. I think that we have lost really 3 winnable games at this point, but that's how it goes. And then, of course, the Bears are at 4-5. What's new? Nothing's ever going to change. This is the best division in football. I think the top 3, Lions, Vikings, Packers, they're the best teams in the NFC. The 49ers are in that conversation, especially because they have Christian McCaffrey back, like I said earlier. But I still think that these are the top 3. This is the best division in football. Hopefully the Bears aren't dragging us down that much as they have been for the last 40 years. But I do think that we're going to see a little bit of change by the time the year's over. I do think that the Lions will stay at the top of the division. I think they're going to end 15-2. They're going to drop their game probably against the Bills or against us. They'll probably win one and drop the other. I have them losing to the Bills, beating us in the last game, sweeping us, unfortunately, in the season series. Other than that, though, I think they play only teams that should be wins. Jaguars, that's a win. Colts, that's a win. Bears twice, those are both wins. They play the 49ers, which could be interesting. I still think that's a win, and they play the Vikings, and they'll probably beat the Vikings again, is my guess. And then I think that the Packers are going to upset the Vikings in this division and come out second. And I think that because of our schedule going forward. I talked about it earlier, but Bears twice, 49ers, which I think is a win. Dolphins, Seahawks, Saints should all be pretty easy wins. And then I think we're going to beat the Vikings in our very last game, and I think we're going to drop it to the Lions. I think that will put us at 13-4, second in our division. I have the Vikings going 12-5 to end the season. For their games, also a pretty easy but much harder schedule than the rest of the NFC North except for the Bears. They play the Titans, that's a win. Bears twice, those are both wins. They play the Cardinals. I think that'll probably be a win, but it'll be a good game. I think they're going to drop their game against the Falcons. That's my bold prediction. And then they play the Seahawks. I think that's a win. They'll lose to the Lions, and they're going to lose to the Packers to end the season on a 2-game losing streak, and that will put us ahead of them. They'll be 12-5. And then the Bears, I could honestly see them going 4-13 and losing every single game. I got their schedule pulled up here as I have for the rest of the guys. They play the Packers twice. I think those are both losses. They play the Vikings twice. I think those are both losses. They play the Lions twice. I think those are both losses. They play the 49ers and they play the Seahawks. I don't think they're favored in any of those games. I actually put them at 6-11. I'm going to change that. I think they're going to end up going 5-12. I think they'll maybe grab the game against the Seahawks, but I would not be surprised if they end the game going, or end the season going 4-13. I mean, this schedule is brutal. Let me just say it again. Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings again, Lions again, Seahawks, Packers. Do you see a single scheduled win? Like, none of those are easy games for the Bears. Not one. It's just an easy win for the Bears. I would not be shocked if they went 4-13. I would love it. It would make me very happy. But I think the only three that matter are really the top three. And I think that the only two that are really competing are the Packers and the Vikings. And it's all going to depend on those last two games. And if the Packers can grab one against the Lions, then hey, maybe they can be first. I don't know. We're going to see. But we'll talk about those when they get here, because now that's the end of our show. I know it was another short one this week. Hopefully they can give me some more content to talk about. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see more of me, all of my stuff is on the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. You can find everything you need to find there. We've got Michael Davis, our president. We have Podcast Schmitty, Shannon Smith, Chris DeLuca. I mean, I'm not going to go over everybody because I could, and there is just a lot. We have a lot of content, so go find it all. Go find all of my stuff, and make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell, notification bell. That way you can watch me next week. You can watch all my buddies next week or this week, because there's still plenty of shows. There's still a bunch of week left. So thank you all for watching once again. I love you all, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.